There's just massive losers in all of this. And it's the people that just had to stand up for what they thought was right.
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports. We just continue to roll on, baby. It feels like we've done more podcasts in 2 days than we've done in the history of the show, in the history of Foreplay. It's only Wednesday. I can't believe it's only Wednesday. Last night, I was texting about getting some couple polos overnighted that I wanted to rock for Saturday, and I was like, those need to get overnighted. And then I realized it was only Tuesday. I thought it was Thursday. That's how much shit has been going on in the golf world, but we're back at it every minute. There's just more and more and more and more storylines, quotes coming out. People are angry. Players are angry. Somebody's calling for resignation. I went through and checked pretty much every news station is leading with or in their little highlight reel at the beginning of every show, whether it's on CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whether it's on CBS, one of the main channels with the news, they're literally including PGA Tour and LIV Golf Merger in their main package at the beginning of every show. So it's just everywhere right now, boys. This is as big as it gets in the golf world.
It really is, and there's a huge appetite for it. We, the Foreplay podcast, we're up there with the big boys in the rankings. The Dan Levitards, the Pardon My Takes, the Bill Simmons. We put out that emergency podcast, and it jetted right up to the top of the rankings. Oh, dude, we're right there. We're right. We're not. I mean, those guys are still in front of us. Those are the big dogs, but we're right there. So that really shows how much of an appetite there is for this whole thing. It's just because it's so stunning. People couldn't believe that it was happening, and the LIV stuff when it was going on before the merger and everything obviously captured the eyeballs of people who weren't into the golf stuff, just because it's a rival league that just doesn't happen in modern professional sports. But then for those two leagues to then merge, or whatever you want to call it, depending if you talk to Rory McIlroy or whoever, they come together and it just explodes, especially because it really seems like nobody knew. There were like 4 people that knew. Rory said in his presser this morning, that I'm sure we're going to talk about, that he got a text late Monday night and then hopped on a call Tuesday morning and was made aware of it. And we're talking about the guy who's been the face of this thing with Tiger Woods, finding out maybe 8 hours before it dropped. It was just like 4 guys in a room deciding the future of professional golf. That is stunning. And that's why it's captured so many people.
Yeah, the no leaks is the most bizarre part. In this day and age,
we live in a leak era.
Oh my gosh. It's a leaky faucet. All of media is just one big leaky faucet, and you just can never repair it. At the end of the day, the shocking factor of the fact that nobody on the PGA Tour knew, Tiger Woods didn't know from what we've heard, Rory McIlroy didn't know from what we've heard, Greg Norman didn't know from what we've heard. I mean, this Jimmy Dunn, straight out of Succession, just making moves for 7 weeks behind closed doors with Monahan and you know, the Saudis. Truly stunning. I got word from some birdies that there was a golf club on Long Island that Jimmy Dunn was playing at with Tom Brady, and then like to secure this deal, all of a sudden all these helicopters started flying in of all these lawyers, and big like New York City lawyers were flying into this golf course. All of a sudden all these helicopters started landing at this clubhouse, and Jimmy Dunn just like hunkered down, and that was like his task force at this club. And it really is Succession type shit. People flying in, getting deals done, cutthroat, no one needs to know, fuck you in the ass type like business, where it's like, you know what? Sorry you didn't know about this, but this is happening now. Goodbye. Yeah. Click. Oh man.
It is. The more that's come out now, what's most stunning is obviously the no leaks, but also that it was done simply and purely by the guys that did it. And that's only like 3 people. It's Yasser Al-Rumayyan, it's Jay Monahan, and it's Jimmy Dunn. And that maybe a few other people that helped them out. It sounds like those are the only 3 names that I've heard that are confirmed that even knew about this thing, that had any involvement in this thing. And this is a player-run organization. That is what the PGA Tour has been touting. That is one of their biggest talking points over the last year, is that it is a player-run organization. When Jay Monahan is the commissioner, he's the commissioner representing the players, and the players obviously pick the commissioner. They pick who's on the pack, the player advisory council, and the whole gamut. That's what they do. And so the fact that the biggest decision in the history of this of men's professional golf was done without any of them knowing is shocking. The fact too that it was done in the manner that it was done is equally as shocking. And the fact now that we've got this guy who yesterday I spent hours researching this man, this Yasser Al-Rumayyan, who is the right-hand man of Mohammed bin Salman, who is the king of Saudi Arabia. And this guy is everywhere. He is now he's the most powerful person in golf. He is the most powerful person in golf now. And that's why it's really important that people understand. I read a New York Times profile on him that went through his whole life and how he got to where he is. And it's absolutely incredible. At this point, he is the chairman of this new entity, whatever that entity is going to be. Monahan will be the CEO. He will be the chairman. He is the governor of the PIF, which is a $620 billion fund that is obviously behind all of this. He is the chairman of Aramco, which is the most valuable company on the planet, and it's not even close. He is the chairman of Newcastle United, which obviously the PIF owns. He is literally the chairman of that Premier League team. He is on the board at Uber. He's on the board at SoftBank, and this guy holds many other positions, and he is the direct right-hand man of MBS. And so by all accounts, from what has been leaked out there, what's been said, what's been reported, this guy loves golf. He's a golf nut now. He got into golf in his adulthood. He's a huge sportsman. He loved playing sports growing up. There's footage of him when they were buying Newcastle. He's out there, kicking soccer balls around with the squad and stuff. So he loves sports. He loves golf. He's like a 12 handicap. And the way that it goes, it sounds like about 7 weeks or so ago, him and Monahan started talking. Him and Monahan, Jimmy Dunn, they got together. These two played a couple rounds of golf together. They had lunch. They hit it off. They liked each other. And from that came this. And so now we're in this place where Monahan's incredibly unpopular, as we've all noticed. And we're going to get into how much that affects us and our current relationship with the PGA Tour, which is in a place that it's never been before. But Monahan's unpopular right now. So if you're thinking that two of them are kind of co-leaders in this whole thing, well, one is one of the most powerful people on the planet right now, and the other is insanely unpopular. So clearly, if you start to just connect the dots and look at where this thing's going and the fact that the PIF is going to make a substantial capital investment into this new entity and the PGA Tour and all of that, which has to be in the neighborhood of $5-10 more billion for them to be doing this. That's got to be a massive sum. You don't make those kinds of investments without having control and taking over control. And from all that they've put out there, that they're going to control the commercial aspect while the PGA Tour controls the competitions aspect of this whole thing. And whoever controls the money controls everything. And so this guy is now the head of that, this Yasser. And so it's going to come down to him. If he is really into growing the game of golf, and they're going to now, of that however many billion, let's say it's $10 billion, if they're going to put $10 billion into all this, and a couple $100 million is going to be put by the USGA into developing golf in new communities and stuff, that could be a great thing. But also, this guy's the right-hand man of, in a lot of people's opinion, one of the worst people on the planet. And he now is the most powerful person in golf. And that could be really bad. So we're just in a spot where the Saudis have really they literally yesterday, in one tweet from CNBC, have pretty much taken control of golf. That's they control golf now.
They do. And they asked Yasser how much was the investment going to be? And his response, I believe, was whatever it takes. And that is money that you just can't, fight's not the right word. And I do, obviously we're going to get into Roy's press conference where sort of Roy's justification now is the PIF money was always going to get involved with golf. You look at every other sport pretty much across the board, and this money is starting to seep in. So this was eventually going to happen. There's just too much money and too much power. If you fight the people who have this much money, you are eventually going to lose. It's just going to be a matter of time. And Rory's point now is, at least in his eyes, there's some control with the PGA Tour since they are now invested in this thing together. But like you're saying, that is yet to be seen, because if you have the money, the people with the money have the most power. And yeah, Monahan's the CEO, and yeah, he brokered this deal, and him and Jimmy Dunn. But Yasser and MBS, they now have all of the power because they have all of the money behind it. So it is very messy, but now this money is involved in golf in a way that everyone is quote unquote together. So I guess that's a good thing. It feels a little icky, but that's just kind of where we are with it.
Chevrolet, electric vehicles, 2023. We're living in the future. That's just where we're at right now. The all-electric Silverado from Chevy. We've driven this thing. We've seen it in different colors. There was an orange one, a blue one, a white one. There's all kinds of cool ones. Infotainment system. I think it's 17 inches diagonal across. Things unbelievably impressive. 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds. I believe it's got up to 400-mile range, GM estimated on a full charge. So we just love this vehicle. It's Barstool's most valuable truck, gentlemen.
I saw this thing last night. I was out with a Silverado EV until the late hours past midnight. We did a little
like you were
commercial.
on a date.
We did a long shoot with this Chevrolet Silverado EV, and it was, let me tell you, this thing is a phenomenal piece of work. I mean, the infotainment system inside is outrageous. The technology you get in the car, you press the brake and the car is on. I'm looking around like I don't even understand what any of this means, but it's a fantastic piece of technology. It looks so good. And the power capabilities, we legitimately powered lights. Like we were golfing at night and we powered lights from the Silverado EV. There's a power system in the back. We had 4 outlets and we just plugged 4 major floodlights and lit up a little area for me to practice some golf. So it's an impressive vehicle, man. It really is. It's I was blown away. I really was. Spending that much time with it, I was like, this is a car that I would really, really like to have.
The most valuable truck for Barstool Sports, that's the Chevy EV Silverado. Head over to Chevy.com to learn more. Check out a bunch of the different styles, interiors, colors, different models that they've got at Chevy outside of the Silverado. Go to Chevy.com to learn more.
There's just massive losers in all of this. And it's the people that just had to stand up for what they thought was right. And guys like Rory that were he said in his press conference, and we'll get into it, but the sacrificial lamb comment is so true, where it's like, if he knew all of this all the time, the whole thing's hypocritical. We keep saying that word, but if he knew that all this money was going to end up falling in and filing into the PGA Tour, why on earth was he accepting the role of this, like, second coming of Jesus for the PGA Tour, where it was like, I'm going to fight the good fight, even though I know I'm going to lose this battle. And then now I'm going to have to stand on this press conference table and say, I was wrong. And now this is my new boss now. This is the money I'm going to be making. This is like all that stuff that I said, the morally wrong stuff that I hated and I was against. That's the money my kids are going to have when they're older now. So it's like, if you knew that was coming, how did they not just take a stand and just be like, I'm not doing that for the PGA Tour. We all see where this is going.
Well, he obviously didn't know. Like, the only hypocrite that
why
I
is he
see
saying
is,
that?
He's saying that now. He's saying with this new information that this money's here now. I can't do anything about it. The only person,
yeah, but you just said that he said like this was always going to happen. You can't beat.
I think he's saying that.
Money.
I mean, I think he's saying that just because that's the position he's in now. He was hoping it would go the other way. Here's the thing: Jay Monahan is the hypocrite in this situation because he took the moral stance from the beginning, just like Rory did. But the difference between the two at the end is that Jay Monahan then brokers a deal with that same money. Rory the whole time is saying, I'm in front of this. These last 18 months, he's saying, I am doing what I think is morally right. This is how I feel. This is what I'm going to stand for. And he's kept that. He's kept it even through today's press conference. The only difference is that the guy brokering the deal on his side pulled the rug out from under him at the last minute and was like, just kidding, we're going to take this money. And that puts Rory in a position where he is the sacrificial lamb. Now he has to go out there, and people want such a specific response from Rory. They want him to go out there and be like, you guys were right. I'm sorry. I don't know. But he was just standing up what was morally right in his eyes, still feels that way. But the guy negotiating on his behalf decided to go with the guys that he was against the whole time. I don't see that as Rory's fault whatsoever.
Right. I don't either. And I think that Rory saying that money's always going to win out, I think is identical to us saying it on the emergency show. It's identical to Trent jumping in and being like, always just take the money, fuck. And then it's not that, it's not that Trent or Rory saying like, I knew it. It's that now you're in this position where you're like, I got fucked, man. And it's like the money obviously was always going to win out. What an idiot I was. And I think that like this is the biggest fallout of the Monahan hypocrisy is, yeah, it makes that guy look like a fucking idiot. And I think we're probably going to end up selling clown shirts. Everybody wants us to. Dave wants us to. We have relationships with the PGA Tour, so we're in a tricky spot. But anyways, clearly Monahan is like the hypocritical guy in this scenario. And I think the biggest fallout for that is a very negative look for guys like Rory and like JT and like Colin Morikawa, who put their trust in somebody, right? They put their trust in Jay Monahan, and they said, these are your talking points, and this is your moral stance. You know what? I agree with that. You're a good guy. We're going to do this the right way. You're right. I'm your guy, and I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to answer question after question, and I'm going to stand up to LIV guys. And when it gets contentious and they sue us, I'm going to tell them to go fuck themselves in the media, and let's go. I'm your guy. And then bang, he turns his back on them, and it makes them look like fucking idiots. It makes them look humiliated. It makes them feel like idiots. It makes them feel useless. And I think that when you and I, Frankie, were talking yesterday in the emergency show about like, it just sucks that like, this is more proof that money always wins out. And I saw a lot of the responses being like, yeah, one of the funniest ones was like, money always wins out. That sucks. Brought to you by a 30-second ad read from like Roman Swipes, which made me laugh. But, you know, the difference clear is like Roman Swipes, I think, is a good company trying to do the right thing with like, there's no proof that their money comes from horrific, you know, human atrocities. And like that was the argument in this case. And that it felt, and it was this push from Monahan and Rory and all these people being like, you know what, we hear you, you know, 9/11 families united, and we hear you, the folks that are very much against the Saudi Arabian regime being allowed to do X, Y, and Z. And in this fight, even though we're not claiming that we're out there saving the world, but like in this fight, we are on the side of good, and we're going to try to do this the proper way, and we're going to try to do this without taking air quotes like blood money. And then bang, you're just blindsided by Monahan literally sitting up there with MBS's right-hand man and being like, yep, guess what? They're injecting all of this money into golf. And literally what he's saying is, and what his whole point has been for the last 24 hours now, and it's so obvious, is that this money is coming into golf from them. It's coming into golf, whether we like it or not, whether we take it or not. And so we're just not going to get left out, and we're fucking taking it. And we're doing a partnership where we're not going to be the ones that miss the boat on it and somehow have the PGA Tour get screwed. That combined with the legal stuff that's coming down the pipeline it's no joke that it's no coincidence that the number one talking point from this whole merger is like, oh yeah, all pending lawsuits are immediately dropped, all of them. So like clearly that was a big determining factor. But yeah, Monahan, he screwed them, man. He screwed Rory. He put Rory in a position where Rory had to stand up there today and look like an asshole. He put Rory in a position where all the LIV bots online get to chirp the shit out of Rory McIlroy. They get to have their victory lap. The Brooks Koepkas get to roast Brandel Chamblees and all that. Like that is Jay Monahan did that. And that is the biggest fallout of his hypocrisy, is that like, yeah, he looks like an idiot, but also all of these people that sort of put their trust in someone being like, oh yeah, you were the leader for the side of good in this good versus evil. We're on your side. Let's go. And then he just fucked those people. And that sucks for them.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Dunn alluded, was there a quote from Jimmy Dunn where he was like, we just didn't take that moral stance from the beginning. That was never our stance from the beginning. This is something, as I took over this deal, I never stood by like the morality of the LIV and where the money was coming from. We're just here to make a good business decision for the PGA Tour. That's where everyone got fucked at the in the end, right? Like his first press conference with, it was just at the golf tournament with Jim Nantz, him just immediately going towards 9/11 families. Now you've made your bed. This has to be good versus evil. It has to be political. If you're on side, you're on the side of the Americans and the good people. If you're on LIV's side, you're the anti-Americans. You're the people that literally like killed Americans. And that's like the stance that you're going to take. And then it became an entire bullshit 2020 type election type. If you're on LIV, you're one type of person. If you're on PGA Tour, you're another type of person. That's all Jay Monahan. If you don't come at it from that way, because you also open the door to being like, well, then where does all the money come from? I just bought a new Apple iPhone. Where does that money come from? Are you like, who are you sponsored by? What about going to China and playing tours over there? Rory McIlroy literally wins in China. Like, what are you talking about? How can you say that these guys going there and taking money there is worse than you doing that? Like, you just opened up way too much, as opposed to just being like it always should have just been like, they have more money than us and we're going to fight this battle and try and find our own funding. We're not going to deal with that type of funding. We don't like their format, whatever. It never should have been, have you ever had to apologize for playing the game of golf? That quote is always going to come back and fuck guys like Rory. It's going to fuck guys like Justin. It's going to fuck guys like Jay Monahan. That quote is what will always be. That's where the turning point in the history of golf really, really started, is where you planted your flag in the morality of the world when, like, dude, you're a commissioner of the PGA Tour. We don't need to make this divide in the world that's already clearly there. We all know, we all have brains. We all know that the world is a bad place. There's never clean money. Oh shit. There's never clean money anywhere. I mean, you try and find me the cleanest money in the world. I don't know. You can't even find that at a church. I mean, it's crazy. This whole thing's one big money laundering scam. I mean, we're talking about tens of billions of dollars coming from oil money into a golf tournament. So, I mean, like, what are we really trying to dig at, Jay? It's like, just fucking, that's where the whole thing just pissed me off the entire time.
I agree. I mean, I think the social atrocities was always going to come up. I think he ramped it up with the 9/11 families and all that. And listen, I'm a little pie in the sky. Like, I want people to, do good and act with the best intentions. But like Riggs said at the beginning, when he was listing off Yasser's credentials, dude, he's everywhere. That money is everywhere. And this PGA Tour LIV thing, that's just the latest domino to fall. And it happened to fall in our area, our lane. And I was thinking, Rory and JT guys are doing a great thing. You're standing up for what you think is right. And then at the end of the day, it really felt like a movie. It felt like an episode of Succession where the guy who's supposed to be on their side turns his back on them, takes the money, and now that money is just further integrated into society, which is what they want, which is what they're getting, and you're never going to stop it. It's a little disheartening that money runs everything, but what can I do about it? What can we all do about it? There's really nothing. You just got to enjoy sports, I guess, and that's kind of it. You can't think about it.
Money's always just made things better. It's just we've never like had the ties to the social atrocities and the humanity and all that. Like, it's always money just makes things better, right? Or else you just have like a flip phone and you would just, you know what I mean? Like, nothing would ever progress. It's always, just for like humanity. It's just, that's what our cult, that's like how we progress. It's like what we've decided as humans. Like, that's how we're going to move things forward, is like, you need to have money to do something or else no one's going to do it. You know what I mean? No one's going to do things for free. It's just the way the world works.
I agree with that. But there's also an element though of, hoping and like believing that other stuff could be important without just money. And a good example is like the Masters versus like the FedEx Cup, right? Like it's objectively better to win the Masters tournament than it is to win the FedEx Cup, I think. But the FedEx Cup, you win way more money. You win like fucking $20 million now if you win the FedEx Cup, whereas you win 3 or 4 if you win the Masters tournament. And so in that aspect, right, it's like we clearly have valued that money in that instance isn't everything. It's not the whole thing. It's like there's prestige and there's just the fact that you get to go to the Champions Dinner. You can't put a price on that. And so there's an element of that in life always. And I think that like we were, you're always kind of hoping that element seeps in to a degree and that it's a balance of like money versus other factors that are important to you as a human being and not just purely money. And I think that we started to get into that. And, we started to believe in that. We were kind of hoping that to a degree, depending on what side you were on, and that just none of it mattered. And that's kind of what sucks. And I think that's sort of like what's like one of the disheartening parts about the situation. The main one is just the hypocrisy. And you nailed it with like, if they just didn't invoke the 9/11 stuff and they just didn't play the moral high ground and the moral outrage card, then they really wouldn't have the egg on their faces that they do now, and especially Monahan. I don't know that they had a lot of other cards to play because of when you're going up against that much money, there's not much you can do. So they played the moral card to try to convince guys to stay, and it worked with some guys. Now those guys look like assholes, and that's really a function of them not getting ahead of it, right? That's a function of what we dealt with for years and what everybody dealt with, which is the PGA Tour fucking peacocking around day in and day out. They didn't have to change anything. They didn't have to open any doors. They didn't have to be friendly to people. They didn't have to be helpful to people. They were not just the big kid. They were the only kid on the block. That was fucking it. And they knew it and they acted like it and they felt impervious to all the other outside noise, and then it just wasn't. And then there was an existential threat. And instantly, within a fucking year, that existential threat, because they weren't ready, because they hadn't prepared for it, because they hadn't laid the groundwork, because they hadn't worked with guys like Phil, and Phil clearly made the points that he's been like trying to get the tour to come around on this for a decade or whatever it is. They were caught with their pants down to a point where now Saudi Arabia is the most powerful entity in golf. And that's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, and also the fact that all that litigation just got wiped away just proves that there are so many things that the PGA Tour did that Phil was kind of whistleblowing, and like all these guys were like, this shit has been bad for a long time. They're not letting us do certain things. There's money that they're not showing up. There's all these PGA Tour players deserve more, and the PGA is stopping that from happening. That's been Phil's calling card for a long time. It's been Greg Norman's calling card for a long time. Greg Norman's been fighting the fight against the PGA Tour for how many years? Since like the late 90s. I mean, if you do a deep dive into Greg Norman fighting this tour with like his World Golf Classic he wanted to start and all these things, like he's wanted to make the game bigger. He thought it was very, very exclusive. And now you're seeing like the future of golf is a global game. Yes, it's Saudi Arabian money. Yes, it's coming from a bad place. You can dive deep into every single company in the world that probably comes from the same place. But at the end of the day, it is going to be good for golf, #good for golf, because it's becoming a more global, inclusive game. That's just what it is. It is. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
More money is just going to make it way better.
Yeah. No, that's also one of the funny underlying things is that in theory, if you could just hop from 2 years ago to right now, it's just better. Right. It should be better. By all like metrics,
without all the noise, right, and the bloodshed and all the stuff that we're talking about. If you're talking about strictly golf, right, which is insane, like obviously, right. If you're talking just golf definitely got better. There's no way you can debate that.
Right, that the infusion of billions of dollars of money and interest from people with an amazing amount of money is objectively should be good for the game. It absolutely should be. And the PGA Tour players, if they can remove the stigma of getting fucked, of having missed the boat, of having been embarrassed by Jay Monahan putting him in this position, then like tomorrow or next year or whenever, they're just going to be in the same place they were playing on the PGA Tour. But there's going to be a whole probably fall series that's LIV team related. That's going to be all supplemental and additional. And they're going to be playing for a lot more money than they were. And that is just from a pure look at this scenario in 2021 and look at this scenario in 2024. And you guys are in a better place than you were. Done. But instead, it's like Rory's got to stand up there and look like his dog died. And again, that's because Monahan put him in that position, even though it's like, dude, Rory, you're now, even though you didn't get the payout, maybe you will, who knows what they're going to do with all that. But like, guess what, Rory, now you're in a place where you're playing for, you're going to make $200 million instead of like $50 million. That's fucking amazing. That's great. Yeah. Yet he's sad Rory, and I get why he is.
Looking back at Phil's quote that really launched his negative campaign, or everyone just hated Phil for him saying those are bad guys, but this is about the future of golf. I mean, isn't that essentially what Rory McIlroy was forced to say in his press conference, being like, it's not what we wanted, but the PIF is just going to make golf way better. In 10 years, we're all in a better place. Like, it's just not as blunt as the way Phil said it, where he said, those are some bad guys, but golf is just going to be better. And everyone's like, holy shit, how could you just ignore all the bad guys part? And literally Rory McIlroy is sitting up there now being like, PIF is just going to make golf way better. I don't care about all the other stuff. We just have to just take it. Like, in hindsight, we just have to take it, and golf's just going to be better. It's like, it's amazing. You go back to the Shipnuck book, and now like, that's now the PGA Tour calling card. They're sending that out to be like, this is our new line now, even though this is basically what Phil got murdered for.
Yeah. It's like, if you're, dude, if you're in a position where you've been grinding to try to like get your organization off the ground, whatever it might be, maybe it's soup kitchen, maybe it's pizza, right? You're a couple pizza shops in Long Island, and like you've been hounding investors and doing everything you can and running the books as best you can to get 50 grand there and 100 grand there, and now you've raised $325,000 and you got to hire a couple people, and then someone comes in and says, "Oh, we'll give you $100 million," and then you can and you're like, well, I mean, that'd be great. We can do whatever the fuck we wanted if you came in with $100 million. Like, we could literally do whatever we wanted. You don't even have to count the books at that point. That's so much money. These guys have $620 billion in their fund. When he took it over in 2018, I believe it was, when they literally, I don't know if you guys remember this story, but I think it was 2018, when the Saudis took like 400 of the Saudi Arabian elites and tricked them into going into a hotel, locked them in that hotel for days, and then seized all of their assets and took all of their companies and claimed that they're all corrupt. That literally made the PIF go from like 60 or 70 or 80 billion to like $300 billion like overnight, because they took all these things. Now it's $620 billion. So this thing in the last 4, 5, 6 years, and especially the last like 8 years, again, I was reading about this guy nonstop. The last like 8 years, this thing went from like a very minuscule thing. I think they had like 5 or 20 employees or something at the PIF. And now they've got like 5,000 employees and it's worth $620 billion. Point is, with something that is going as high and as on a meteoric rise as that thing is, coming in and being like, we're going to just back golf. We're going to back golf is, to Rory's point, to Phil's point originally, you're right. That's just, how could that not be good for golf? And, if I get that they're bad people, we talked all about that. We've taken hard stances on that. We've taken principled stances on that. But if you're just looking at it from a pure business standpoint, future of golf standpoint, if they're injecting that much cash and capital into the game of golf, and it's going to seep down into the women's game, into all of these different initiatives that are going to help grow the game, into golf courses and manufacturers and everything, the game that we love, that we do, we've built an entire business, our entire careers, our gravestones, like we'll be known for being golf guys that like did golf content and lived golf. That's what we do. Like, this is just going to make the game way, way, way better. There's no way it won't.
Yeah.
This summer, HelloFresh is here to take the work out of eating well. Reach your goals with delicious, calorie-smart, and protein-smart lunch and dinner options, plus new vegan recipes, too. We're talking about HelloFresh. We're talking about farm-to-table quality with every HelloFresh box. HelloFresh's seasonal ingredients are picked at peak ripeness, travel from the farm to your doorstep in less than 7 days for fresh flavor in every bite. We've talked about trying to eat healthier, eating better on the show many times, how difficult it is, whether you're traveling or whether whenever you get home, you just rush out to a restaurant, or you go to Uber Eats, you order crap, whatever it is. HelloFresh makes that much, much easier. We love HelloFresh.
Yeah, no, I've been on the road for a little over a week now. I need to get back to my apartment and eat some HelloFresh, because when you are on the road, it's just way harder. You're eating McDonald's, you're eating Burger King, you're eating Taco Bell. And I cannot wait. I'm going back home tomorrow to get home, eat some HelloFresh, get some greens in my body, something that's not deep fried. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And nobody does it better than our friends at HelloFresh.
No matter what your lifestyle, you'll always find delicious recipes on the HelloFresh menu. They got all kinds of just phenomenal options. Delicious, good for you, easy to get going. Go to HelloFresh.com/Fore16. That's FORE16. And use the code 416 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. It's an insane deal, so I hope you're paying attention. That's HelloFresh.com/Fore16, and then use the code 416. You're going to get 16 free meals plus free shipping. That is FORE16.
What do you guys foresee ever being like the worst thing that could happen from them taking total control of golf? Like, what's the what would be like the nightmare scenario?
They just consolidated it all to like Riyadh, and they just only played in like Saudi Arabia or something. But I
don't see them doing anything like that. That'd be. I really just think they're going to they'll do what they've done with everything else. They'll just put a bunch of money into it, and then they'll have their hand in it. I don't think it's not an arm where they're going to be like, all right, we're going to make a point in our golf space. Like, I think it'll just pretty much exist. That'd be my guess.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the sport washing, which is obviously the thing that they're doing, anyone that says that they're not doing that, you're just blind. It's what a lot of countries are doing. It's what China did with the Olympics. It's what everyone in that wants to do bad things is doing, right? They're just going to sports. They're going to the American culture, and they're saying we're good guys because.
Credit to Brandel and Eamon, who don't let that go. Like,
they're not letting it go. No,
it's so easy to just let that go, and they get shit on. They get made fun of by everybody, and they're relentless, and it feels like they're over the top. But like, if people don't do that, then like eventually the sport washing just wins and people stop talking about it, and then everyone just accepts them as normal. And so credit to those guys continuously going to war over it and being like, I don't care how many people make fun of us. We're going to remind you of the horrific stuff that these people have done very recently.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's a losing battle. You're not going to win. You're just going to be screaming at a bunch of people that are going to say, fuck you. But that's an admirable stance to take.
You need
because you're
people like that, though. I know a lot of people don't like those people, and I get it. Like, money's going to win. People make fun of them, but like, you at least, like, society is about one side and the other of people, like, as shitty as it is to admit that, but like, the society is way worse historically without people like that. And I know it's so easy on Twitter to shit all over those people because it's easy and they are losing and they're always going to lose because the money always wins. But society as a balance, and that balance is usually off kilter for the most part, but you do need those people. Like, shit on them all you want, but like, you do need that.
Yeah.
I really do believe
sides.
that.
100%.
You definitely need both sides. I think that they could probably see a little bit of both sides a little bit more as well. If we're if I'm just as understanding in their stance and I'm going to respect their stance, they have to be somewhat understanding of like the guys that are trying to make the argument for the other side, right? Like I think you're able to go both ways. Brandel has not been able to at all. Every time someone's ever tried to come at him with like, even if it was like they were coming at from a good place, it felt like he was just like, nope. This is my stance, and this is what I'm going to go after, and that's always going to get you a bunch of hate. He doesn't believe
there is a good place on that side.
Right. He said it's the saddest day in the history of golf
for a guy like him. And
we're literally right, but like, there's arguments to be made that that's just not true.
But it is. There's
a lot
to
of
a
smart
degree
people
where
that believe that that's not true.
The thing that he believes that is true, because he sees it as a pure sport washing exercise. He knows that like the reason this money is coming in is not because, maybe Yasser's a 12 handicap and he likes to play golf, but that's not why they're investing in the PGA Tour. That's just,
it might be why Yasser is, but it's not where the money's actually coming from and what they're trying to achieve. Like, Yasser might legitimately be trying to grow the game of golf. Like, he is maybe a sports fanatic. He is a golfer. He does want to see this, but he's also in the position to do whatever the hell he wants. So it's like,
right. That's not his pitch to MBS. That's not his pitch to MBS. No. He's not like, dude, I love golf. Like, you gotta let me take this $100 billion. You gotta, I love the game. That ain't his pitch. I guarantee that.
I do think that, like, when you see what Brandel and them and Eamon say, like, I feel like they sometimes make us think that like the future of golf has like a haze over it, and guys like to show up to Augusta National, there's going to be machine guns and AK-47s as we drive by. Like, it's almost like they paint this picture where it's like the world's going to be overtaken, and that's the part where it's like, if you hammer that home so much, it's just like you're going to push me away from your opinion, where it's like, I just don't like, that's why I said, what do you think the worst that's going to happen out of this is going to be? And it's just like the sport washing. I agree, but there is no way of stopping that. It happens in every single country.
I know. And I'm agreeing with that, but I think what they would say is they're taking up the plight of the people who don't have a voice, who are like, these things are happening to us. Like, these things are happening. They are happening. Yeah. And those people who they're happening to don't get a say in that. And there's guys like Brandel and Eamon who are like, we at least got to acknowledge that this is happening. Like, it's always going to be inevitable because the money's going to win. That's always going to happen. But you can't ignore the things that are happening just because the people that they're happening to don't have a voice.
I agree. I think when they ask those questions, it puts the guys that are taking the money and making these decisions into a really tough spot. Like, you ask Jay Monahan about the sport washing, and he's just going to stumble over his words and be like, "We're just here for a golf partnership." That's why, like, he's not going to be able to answer that question.
Monahan's a fucking corporate shill. You need journalists who are like not where their bottom line isn't directly contacted by what's going on. Brandel and Eamon are journalists. They're media analysts. Like, those are like, you can't expect Jay to have an answer that you want to hear because he's too tied to it. He's way too tied to it. He negotiated the deal. You need guys on the outside who are like, it's fucking kind of crazy what's going on right here. That's all I'm saying.
Couldn't agree more. No, you're right. You need those guys. That's what a free press is. That's what, like, our founding fathers understood. That's why they put it in there, that having a free press that's able to do that, that's able to trumpet the causes that they're trumpeting, it's unbelievably important to having like a stable, free society like we do, and it's why they don't have one over there. And there are
right. If you got the Brandel and Eamon in Saudi Arabia are dead.
Right.
They're just not
Right.
allowed.
I mean, right. One of the Brandel and Amons from here, Jamal Khashoggi, is dead because he literally was critical of MBS and everything. And it's the CIA themselves, our CIA, concluded that MBS absolutely knew and ordered the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, which was like 5 or 6 years ago. So it's not like that happened 50 years ago. So people understand. So this guy is the right-hand man of that guy. And so those things you cannot lose sight of. It's very important that those guys continue to trumpet those causes, to trumpet those truths, because that very, very, very much matters. Now, I also agree with you, Frankie, that, one thing that sucks about our society now is how little people are able to see both sides. And I think most rational humans, I trust that most rational humans can understand both sides of a fucking issue. I don't think that's that complicated. Somehow we're so driven now to be on a team, whether if it's in politics, you're on the Republican team or you're on the Democratic team. And that's like, and that has seeped into this, where it's like, if you're on the PGA Tour side, you're a lib cock. And if you're on the live side, you're a MAGA guy. And that's it. And it's like, why do you have to be bucketed into these just teams? Like, guess what? I, as a rational human being, can look at everything that you and the three of us have spoken about and say, man, the Saudi Arabian regime has committed some horrific human atrocities. And I'm just not trusting that their intentions are good at this point. That's awful. And at the same exact time, I can understand that Harold Varner III takes $30 million or whatever it is and says, I have to take this. I have to take this. I'm looking at my own personal situation and I'm saying that money is generational for me and my family and my kids. And I just don't know if I'm going to make that money on the PGA Tour. I know I'm going to get that money by going to LIV. So I'm doing it. We, the three of us, can just see that. We can see both of those things. Yeah. And I think that most people can, and most people are in a position where you're not in Jay Monahan's seat. You're not in Rory McIlroy's seat or Will Zalatoris' seat or Brooks Koepka's seat. We're in a seat of people that are just observing, and we're able to kind of throw our opinions out and have our takes. But really, at the end of the day, it's like a human being having a struggle between two decisions and which one to take, and like weighing the goods and the bads and the pros and the cons. Fucking everybody out there does that all day, every day. That's not unique. It's just theirs happens to be very public and something that's going to affect their lives forever, their reputations potentially forever, and like now the future of golf forever. But they're just making a decision based on pros and cons. And I think it's okay to just admit as a person that, like, guess what? I'm raising my hand. I can see the pros and cons on both sides of the decision. I can just see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. When you break it down to individuals.
Oh, sorry. I think we got a Wi-Fi issue there. The only thing that really lost me sometimes with Brandel is, like, you'd read his tweets and they were so matter of fact and they were so like, this is the stance regardless of where you stand. This is the moral one and this is the one that everyone should be standing behind, which I get and it's admirable. But when people would tweet at him like their take, or maybe they would say something and they'd find like a little space in what he was saying where they say, well, what about the LPGA players? And on the bottom of their tournament, it literally says brought to you by the PIF and all this stuff. And you're like, why are you not commenting on that? And he would say, like, it's a different situation essentially, right? Like whatever words he would use to it, he would never really make his mark on like where all the hypocrisy in the stuff that he used to cover on. And like, he would just really never make a point to where China games were going on and they would play in Saudi Arabia and all this stuff. And now all of a sudden it was like, he couldn't believe guys were making this decision because they were changing the course of golf and really like the American culture in his eyes by making this decision, where it's like, it's been happening. It's like, where was all of this back then? And that's the part where you really kind of lost me, where he kind of lost me, where he just would never be able to see that stuff. Like they were already impacting the game of golf. And like, it really was never an issue. It's just when guys started to leave and like make lifelong money, then it was fucked.
For sure. And I think his argument would be, I don't want to speak for Brandel, but he would say these players were in a position of power. When LIV knocks on your door and says, I'm going to give you this much money, you have a decision to make. And I get that this, you can look at China, you can look all over the place, but he was looking at this one particular instance where it was like, you were holding power. That's very rare. You're holding power in a decision where it can be good or bad. I know that's way too black and white, but that's the way he looks at it in this particular instance, where it's like, if you don't take this money, if Phil doesn't take that money, if DJ doesn't take that money, if Cam Smith doesn't take that money, if nobody takes money, if everybody agrees, they agree that they're not going to take the money, LIV doesn't exist. And it at least hits the armor of the Saudi Arabian regime, where they're like, oh shit, it didn't work that time. But as it always turns out, usually the money, they take it, and then LIV becomes a thing. They merge with the PGA Tour, and now it's even further seeping into the sports that we all watch. That would be my guess, is what he would say. You can't expect a guy to answer for China, answer for all these things. He's just focusing on the issue that was put in front of him with the sport and the players that he covers, I guess, would be my take. But
yeah,
it's just hard to cover everything.
That's right. And it is. And it's, clearly his stance is he takes a hard line moral approach to it that he can't get over and never will. And that's just it. Now, I admire that. I 100% admire that. The world would probably be full of like everyone being nice to each other, and we'd all be in fucking lollipops and la la land. And it'd be great if that were true across the board and that was all that mattered. But Brandel, with that stance, if he were in a position of power at like the PGA Tour might be extinct by now with that, right? Because it requires negotiation. It requires being able to concede some of your territory on an argument to the other side in terms of negotiating. And that's what we see on Capitol Hill. That's what we see in politics. That's what we see in business. That's what we see everywhere in order to get shit done. And so Monahan clearly made that decision. The issue isn't even like, it's not even that any of us are necessarily shitting on him for like making a deal that could potentially be amazing for the PGA Tour for the next 100 years. Who knows? It's clearly the issue of like invoking 9/11 and then immediately turning around and spitting in the faces of the 9/11 United families. Like that's as he should be getting the most criticism imaginable for that. But at this juncture, it's like, look, man, like we're in this position now where the Saudis pretty much just won. And I think that the most prevailing theory is that they never expected LIV to succeed. We had so many conversations on here about how can this be a viable business model? It isn't. So if there's no viable business model, I'm sniffing this out a little bit. This seems a little bit sketchy. And really, how hard is it to now just see that like, no, their goal was to basically just get a big time seat at the table and become incredibly powerful within the PGA Tour and the world of golf. And that's just what they did. Like, they're like, yeah, LIV, you can go away. Teams 54. We don't give a flying fuck. Guess what? We literally 2 years ago, after decades of trying, 2 years ago, we had no power whatsoever in the world of golf, really, except for one event out in like Saudi Arabia that people would get roasted for playing in. And then now we just merged with the PGA fucking Tour. And our guy, Yasser, who's the right-hand man of our king, is like the most powerful person in the world of golf. And they're like, you guys are all looking over there at the LIV thing. We just took over the table. The table is now just us. That's what it pretty much is. And so, of course, that worked out. This guy, Yasser, is like the most impressive businessman on the planet.
Right.
That's like he's fucking runs all these companies. Like, of course he's smarter than we are.
These guys are very rich and they're very, very smart. That's it.
Yeah.
And they own golf now. So, all right.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is the golf capital of the world. It was recently voted America's favorite buddies trip destination. It was voted by people that go on buddies trips. You guys were just there. We talked about the videos coming out with the fathers. Myrtle Beach has an offer for everyone, whether you're on a tight budget, maybe you're trying to save for a wedding, you're trying to save for a new home, maybe you're fresh out of school, you don't have a ton of money yet, you got an entry-level job. Maybe you're a little bit older. Maybe you're looking to splurge. Whatever it might be, they got ritzy, fancier, more private-like experiences, and then they've got more affordable options. And they've got go-karts. They got restaurants on the beach. They got hotels and villas on golf courses, on beaches. Myrtle Beach has it all, fellas.
Yeah, it truly does. It really, really does. It's just from player A to player Z, no matter where you fall, there's a golf course for you. And that's what we've really noticed is like top tier. The top tier golf courses where you're going to be sending pictures to your buddies being like, you can't believe this. And then also you're going to bring your 10, 12 friends, huge party. Some guys don't golf. They have wide open golf courses where it's not going to kill you. It's not going to make you have a bad day. They really just got everything for everyone. And the amenities at these places to stay. We stayed at the North Myrtle Towers, the North Beach Towers.
Yeah.
Those were, my God, just really, if you felt like you were on an island, legitimately just like in the Caribbean.
If you would like to plan a golf trip go on over to playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. That's the website. Go check them out. They got all the info on golf packages, courses, hotels, things to do in one convenient place. They got breweries, bars, restaurants, nightlife, more than any other golf destination you can go to. If you're the group leader who organizes your buddy's trip, you're also eligible to play for free. So be sure to ask one of Play Golf Myrtle Beach's packages partners for more info when you plan your trip. Also, if you'd like to visit Myrtle Beach, Play Golf Myrtle Beach is giving away a golf trip for you and 3 buddies. You just visit www.foreplaymyrtlebeach.com to enter to win a 3-day, 3-round golf trip to Myrtle Beach. Again, that's foreplaymyrtlebeach.com.
What do we think the landscape of golf is going to look like? So have we gotten any information on like our LIV guys just on the PGA Tour now? Is LIV even a thing anymore? Is Tulsa happening next year, or is it just all just one big thing?
So the best that I've heard is that at the end of the 2023 season, the players, anybody that left membership of PGA Tour or DP World Tour, will be able to reapply for membership and obviously will be welcomed right back in. In terms of what the mixture of the two will look like, I really haven't seen shit. I've gotten a lot of texts about theories about what it's going to look like. There's a lot of people that believe the fall series will kind of be the LIV series now. I don't know that they'll call it that. I honestly think LIV will just disappear at this point. I think Greg Norman will disappear, and that the fall series will still be branded under the PGA Tour, but it might have its own kind of like branding, but it'll be run by the PGA Tour. I think all of it will be run by the PGA Tour technically, and this like larger umbrella entity that they're going to combine and create. But I think the most likely they're going to do this fun team LIV like concept in the fall series when nobody really gives a fuck typically, and try to get a little bit of juice going there when guys are on break or it's just hard to get the juice going, and that the rest of the schedule will kind of be like the elevated event style that they've come up with. That's the best like theory that I've heard thus far, but I don't think they've really released any specifics.
Yeah, I mean, the future does look like it's going to get to the point where we really, really liked what LIV was doing with the team aspect, but they just weren't doing it correctly. And we said, if you can get the right guys, the right sponsors, it's not corny. It's not like this stupid thing where it's the Crushers versus the Flying Aces and the Flying Albatrosses. Like, all that means nothing. It's backyard baseball.
Name. Flying Albatrosses. Do you imagine like your team, you get like a $10 million bonus if you get an albatross, if you're a member of the Flying Albatrosses?
By the way, speaking of Christian Fisher, hockey player, is at Bandon Dunes right now, and at Sheep Ranch, he made a hole-in-one on the 17th hole, par 4. I mean,
dude, no way.
He's with our guy Vinny Lettieri, and he sent me the video, and he fucking, all of a sudden, they're going crazy, being like, is that ball in the hole? And someone rips a caddy rips a cart 345 yards down Sheep Ranch, the 17th hole. He drives down there, and he just is sprinting around the green, throwing his arms up. That's a fucking hole-in-one.
Is that the hole with the tree?
Yes, on the left, the tree on the left.
Yeah, that's a great hole. I have an unbelievable picture.
That's where I broke my knee.
Hole. Dude, Fish, I play golf with Fish. He's a big Arizona guy. He's a big Isabella's Kitchen guy. Fish is the fucking man. That's insane.
Arizona Coyotes, insane. Christian Fisher, hole-in-one. Congratulations to you. You and Jake Marsh, biggest hole-in-ones of the week. I mean, on par 4.
Yeah, congrats to Jake Marsh.
God. Par 4 is insane. But yeah, so I mean, just to finish up my point, like, and I'm obviously wearing the Team TaylorMade shirt today, but like imagine a world in which it is Team TaylorMade. Like we would legitimately go to those events and root on our team. Like that's what I've always fucking wanted from when I heard this idea. When I heard this idea about team aspects, I'm like, that is so cool to be able to be like, all right, it's easy to digest. An older guy could read it in the newspaper. Team TaylorMade has 3 wins and Team Titleist has 2, and they're 2-1. What? It's just easier. It's sports. It's what American sports has become. You look at stats, you look at standings, and golf has never really had that. You got to look on all these fake websites about the World Golf Rankings and all of this stuff. You never really know. People are saying that like being in first means nothing. A true team event, you'll know who's the best, what team is winning. There's going to be a championship. There's going to be playoffs. Make it right. You have a chance now. LIV had a good idea, and it was boring, and it was hard to like figure out. Now you have a chance. This is it. Everyone's going to come together. DP World Tour, PGA Tour, LIV, all the money in the world. Make it right. Make team uniforms. I want the whole thing, man. If you're only going to do it in the fall or whatever, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be the perfect amount. It's not going to take over the game. It's just going to be extra. And that's what we need.
There is a chance they get rid of the idea completely. That they're just
I think they're going to do team. I think they'll do
I don't
team.
know. I don't know.
I think they should do teams, but not do a team match or tournament each tournament, right? Like just have a guy be a member of a team throughout the year. That's what they do in Formula One, right? Like it's not like they don't do like two big different celebrations. Like if you make the podium in Formula One, you make the podium. And if you happen to be first and second place from Red Bull, then they're like, fuck yeah, Red Bull had a great week, but they don't then have a team title that week for Red Bull. It's like, no, that's just the general team thing.
But that's what we didn't like about LIV. LIV, there was no real team aspect of it. Is there, in Formula One, is there a point system for the teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'd love a scramble, just like team uniforms, red versus blue. You're going out there. It's just easy to digest. I'd watch the shit out of that, man.
So that's what I kind of think. I think you could get away with doing the year-long like team stuff. And then in the fall, you do a little bit more. You have a few events that are, it's like playoff-y, or it's more like literal team events where it's 2-man best ball, 2-man alternate shot, scramble. Like you have a couple events like that. Whereas the rest of the year, when you play the Memorial, when you play Phoenix Open and the Players, like those are normal stroke play events. And if a fucking Crushing Aces happens to finish second, like the Crushing Aces get a bunch of points that week and they just add them up and you have the standings. But like you don't have this dynamic moving leaderboard with different colors and shit. That's like impossible.
There's a lot of talk about the Ryder Cup and how crazy it's going to be now. Do you guys foresee that happening where it's like all this animosity and all of this like me versus you stuff? Or do you think by the time the Ryder Cup comes around, it's going to be kind of squashed?
I think it'll be I think it'll be more muted than it usually is because we haven't had the Europe versus USA hype that we usually have. Like usually there's tension. Usually you get storylines. You get people like chirping early about Ryder Cup or this or that. Whereas now I almost feel like it's been so LIV versus Tour that like I don't even know if there's going to be a ton of like Europe versus USA hype.
I mean, you just got to throw Phil out there against Rory in singles and just fucking the world is like whatever. It's like you don't even know you don't even care about what actually is going to happen. You just want to see if they fist fight.
I think it's going to cool off and it'll be very similar to every other year. I mean, we got
the
3 months.
Will turn it up,
I guess, but it's like even you watch Rory's press conference today, and he's just like, it is what it is. So now we take the situation we have and we move forward. I don't think. I mean, there might be some, but dude, 3 months in 2023 is 3 years. Like
I know, and
it's gonna go by.
I've been trying to think of like how could it be crazier? Like I was at a golf course yesterday, and everyone's like, "Dude, that Ryder Cup now, woof." I'm like, I kept thinking to myself, like, what does that even mean? I don't even know what that means.
But there's guys on both sides,
right? Exactly.
So who cares? Like there's
going
to be LIV guys
playing amongst the guys.
Right. It's not like it was all European guys who went to LIV and all the Americans stayed out. It was the same shit. I don't think it's going to make.
Right.
I don't know. I guess it just clears up the fact that like these guys are going to be in it, which is good. It felt, I mean, because you got to think that everyone's going to be able to play in it now. There's no way they're going to stop these guys from playing. The European guys are definitely going to play. American guys will be like Brooks Koepka is going to be on the Ryder Cup team, right? And I feel like there was some sort of talk about that not happening. But now it's just like that's all squashed. Let's get back to the Ryder Cup. Let's get that European versus USA hype going. You know, the USA is just going to try and like repeat with an absolute drumming of the Euros, and then the Euros are going to try and make a huge comeback. Like we need all that going because, like you said, it's so LIV versus PGA that it almost feels like the opposite of what people were saying to me yesterday. Where it's like I actually think it has no hype and it's got no drama now. Maybe if they were still separated, it'd have a little bit more. Guys playing with each other that they despise or on different tours. Now it's like it's all fucking one thing.
Yeah.
3
months from now, people are going to be pretty chill.
I'm very worried about this air quality situation right now. Are you guys on this thing?
The air quality has been crazy. So Trent and I played Erin Hills in Wisconsin. We fucking had a great little stroll around Erin Hills. It was kind of incredible.
It was great.
We get there and I'm on the driving range and I'm like, why the fuck can't I breathe right now? And I'm a very dramatic person. I'll tell you even more how dramatic I got throughout the round. But I was like, this is looking hazy because I looked at my phone and the phone said sunny day and I couldn't see the sun. I'm like, are these clouds? Is it going to rain? And then it said air quality bad. And then we asked the guy and he goes, yeah, there's a fire in Canada. There was a mulch fire at a factory.
Was that the same Canadian fire?
No.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Now there was a mulch fire above Wisconsin in fucking wherever the hell it was. And it was just clouding up all of Wisconsin. And then like at night it would dissipate and you really couldn't see it. So I'm like, that was crazy. And then I come back to New York, I land and I'm seeing this like blob basically fly into New York. And I'm like, what is this fucking shit? They're saying if you step outside and you're out there for like 10 hours, it's equivalent to smoking like 6 packs of cigarettes or something like that. It was crazy. They're like, you can't go outside. If you're outside, you're dead. And I'm like, is that the mulch fire? But no, it's these wildfires in Nova Scotia that they're just burning crazy.
Dude, Frankie, so this morning I took a red eye, got in at like 5 a.m. I'm watching like the 6 a.m. news while I'm trying to fall asleep in the hotel. And they come on and they're talking about the air quality in New York. It's the number one worst air pollution in the world right now. The world. And
Hong Kong, all those crazy polluted areas.
Yes.
Not even close.
Dude, like New Delhi in India is notoriously the worst. It's literally like if you walk outside, take one breath, you lose like 10 years of your life there. New York's worse than that right now. Yeah. They're like, it literally says don't go outside. Very unhealthy. It's currently listed as very unhealthy. I just opened my hotel window. I can barely see like 100 yards. It's just this hazy,
really bad,
horrific smoke. I can smell it right now in the fucking hotel room. I don't know how do you get away?
Say if you can smell it, that's as bad as it can get. That's what I read. Is like if you can smell the air, if you can smell a difference in the air, that means it's extremely, extremely dangerous.
I can smell a forest fire right now. Like, what do I do? Where do I go?
Wear a mask or something. I don't know.
I will say it was funny when we were at Erin Hills.
Then I'm still breathing the air, right? Like, does the mask filter out the
fire?
I don't
know. That was supposed to stop you from COVID and all that stuff.
Yeah, so now we're getting a whole another discussion.
Literally, one of the news correspondents had a mask on outside, and I was like, "Well, she just had like a normal mask on?" And I was like, "Is she trying to suffocate herself? Like, what is she doing?"
So funny looking back to all the crazy shit we did during COVID. We were talking about that at Erin Hills with our caddy. Actually, our caddy was like your caddy's like brother
Luke.
Minkich.
Yeah, McKinch. Yeah, he was funny. He was talking to me. He was talking about during COVID, like he couldn't touch anyone's golf bag, so the player had to walk with their own golf bag. But then you couldn't like help multiple people, so there was 4 caddies out there for 4 different people, and they all couldn't touch the golf bag. I'm like, you were just like multiplying the amount of chances you could have possibly gotten sick by adding 4 more people out there. You know what I mean? It's just like it was so funny thinking back to how insane we were, and now you've got real issues where it's like that fucking smoke is coming in, and it's coming in quick, and it's staying. By the way, it's like it's not going anywhere. You got to get everyone's got to go out and get an air blower and just fucking point it to the sky and just move that shit.
It was funny. We were at Erin Hills. The smoke was bad, and it was very hazy. And Frankie, who already probably doesn't have a great outlook on the Midwest, was like, "This is fucking crazy. It's so smoky here. The air quality's horrible." And I did laugh when you went back to New York, and it was the same shit, just a different fire. Like it's worse. It's just bad everywhere. Everything is bad everywhere all the time. It would appear.
We got vodka seltzers, boys. We got vodka seltzers from Truly. People have been asking for it, waiting for it, wanting it, looking for it. They're here. They came here in the fall of last year. People raved about them. They're the bluish cans now. That's what they're in. They're just phenomenal. They're phenomenal. It's real vodka in there. Delicious. They got real fruit juice. They like to keep it real. That's why they use no artificial flavors or sweeteners over at Truly. They're made with premium vodka. It's got a crisp, clean, refreshing taste, fewer calories, so all 12-ounce cans have under 110 calories. That means all kinds of refreshing flavor, not going to weigh you down. Lower in sugar as well. Every Truly vodka seltzer contains only 2 grams of sugar, a refreshing go-to that is perfect for this summer. Barstool Classic folks, you guys were at Barstool Classic Minnesota, Barstool Classic Wisconsin. People are loving the vodka seltzers out there.
Oh yeah, my favorite one now has been that vodka soda paradise pack. I get it when I go pick up Truly's. It's incredible. We had those at our station on the 10th hole at the Barstool Classic. People were absolutely loving them. The mango flavor, everything about it is just so good. It's premium vodka, refreshing taste. It was so hot in Wisconsin. It was just boiling down on us, and it just was such a nice, you cracked it open, the condensation was on the outside of the can. There's nothing better than being on a golf course. A little bit of a wet glove. For me, I'm a righty, so and my glove's in the right hand. That glove gets a little bit damp, but you know that it's for a good reason. You're drinking that Truly, and you're just like, man, we are living. Remember when we were cold? Remember when it was snowing? Remember when it was windy? Now we're just in the sun drinking Trulies. It's such a good feeling to be like, we made it. We freaking made it to this point right now.
It's true. It's just true. It's the best feeling in the world, and these things are delicious. You're going to enjoy them. Trust me. Find them at Truly Vodka Seltzer is what you're looking for, and you find them at trulyhardseltzer.com. So go to trulyhardseltzer.com and find the Truly Vodka Seltzers near you.
By the way, Riggs, I got this is huge breaking news for this podcast. So I'm a pants wearer, right? So I wear pants all the time. And all right, I'll get ahead of it. I wear my pants because I have skinny, pathetic legs, and I also get crazy sunburn on my body when I like only expose it once in a while. My arms get kind of tan, my face can get tan, but when I put on shorts, it's just that burn kills me. Whatever. I'm walking through Erin Hills and I wore shorts to Erin Hills. It was just me and Trent. It was a hot day out there. I'm like, let me just wear shorts. No one's out here.
No one's going to
be out there.
I got pictures.
I topped my first drive again, no matter how many times Erin Hills won. Erin Hills 1 is turning into 7 at Pebble, and I know that's a douchey thing to say because we play all these incredible golf courses, but I just can't. Nice. I just can't do it. It's whatever. And I had Dr. Brett
Show
McCabe
was so
here
good.
today.
I would have paid for a ticket to see it.
It's incredible. But we took breakfast balls off one, which is great. You know, when you play
Arnold Palmer did that.
To be clear, I only hit one ball.
You did only hit one ball. Anyway, so I'm walking down the fairways and I'm pushing a lot of drives left. If you're not driving well at Erin Hills, you might as well just fucking pack up your bags and go. It's just a beast of a golf course. And if you're in that fescue all day, it's not very fun. But I'm looking for my ball all day, and like probably around like the 12th or 13th hole, we're sitting on one of those immaculate benches that they have behind every single tee box at Erin Hills because you need it bad. You need that bench badly. You're walking from the green to the tee. It feels like you're walking up a mountain. You get to the top. There's kind of a weight. There's guys in the fairway, and you're just sitting down. And I remember looking down at my legs and being like, why the fuck are my legs burning right now? Like legitimately burning, itching. And I had red marks all over them, like dots everywhere, front, back, ankles. And I'm like, I remember last year, I thought I had like a heat rash on my legs because I was wearing pants so much that I thought maybe my legs were getting so red and spotted that like something was I looked it up. It was like golfer rash or something like that. And if you're sweating so much in pants, like it would actually accumulate.
I got that one time. Caddies get that too. It's the worst thing in the world.
That's what remember we talked about it on the podcast. And I'm like, I think I have it. I was wrong this whole time. I've only worn shorts 3 times golfing, right? In the last 2 years. And this has always happened right around my ankles, right above the socks. Bro, I'm 150%. And I can't say for sure because I haven't gone to a dermatologist yet, but I know that I'm allergic to fescue. Whatever that top little seed is, when it goes on my legs, I just break out in hives. And I'm not allergic to anything. I've never had an allergy to a food. I've never touched anything that like I've swollen up. I've never had to drink Benadryl like Hitch. I've just never had to do anything like that. I'm telling you right now, the feeling that I had, and it was still there. It's gone now. It's still there. I'm telling you, I went to Luke, the caddy. He goes, dude, I'm the same way. I have to wear pants. He goes, if I wear shorts and these things brush up against my legs, dots everywhere. So I looked it up. Wow. Same exact picture. So I've been vindicated a little bit. It's not the reason why I wore shorts on pants. It's not the reason.
It's a new reason. It's a new reason.
Now it's a new reason where it's like if someone asks me, I don't even have to talk about how pathetic my legs are. I have to be like, I'm allergic to fescue. I am.
That's nice. Congratulations. That's great.
And Trent's my witness.
Yeah, no, I saw the dots. Yeah, no, they were definitely there. You thought they were bug bites at first, but
I did.
So you're allergic to the top of fescue? Like there's.
So then I talked about it yesterday to the super at Colonial, and I was like, "Yeah, I think I am." He's like, "Dude, like during this time of year, they're very, and I don't know what the word is, they're very active. Like they're just like they're sprouting. So like whatever that is on the top of it, that little poppy seed on the top of those." I'm not sure it's not poppy seed. Whatever that seed is at the top of a fescue,
bagel.
It brushes up against my legs, and my legs are just like, nope, see you later, pal. We don't want that. Our body's just going to reject it.
Dude, the heat rash thing that we were talking about earlier.
That's no problem. That's no fun.
That is the worst thing I think I've ever experienced. I had it like 3 years ago, and for 3 weeks, it just wouldn't go away. And it was the worst. It was on my like inside of my arms, both of them, and then all up like the back of my calves. And it was just the least comfortable thing that's ever happened. I would just lay there with like the whatever you like put this like anti fucking corticool cream shit on you, and you put a fan on yourself, and you just lay there in bed at night hoping it would just like go away, and it just doesn't. And then when you put clothes on and go out in front of society, it just rubs up against it, irritates it, and then if it's hot out, you just can't get rid of it unless it's
I don't
cold.
want that.
So you're like, well, guess what? It's the summertime. Like, it's just not cold anywhere, so I can't. How do I get rid of this hot thing? And you're like, oh yeah, it just has to be cold. It fucking sucks.
You guys ever get into a cold tub? You ever fuck around with a cold tub?
Yeah, we used to have to for hockey all the time.
Those things are no
like
joke.
After football games, yeah.
Bro, these new cold tubs, like these like modern ones I was at, my buddy, American hero, Brock Nelson, number 29, good guy, plays hard, loves the game, War Road, Minnesota. He's got one in his garage, and it's one of those like modern ones that's just got like the fan inside. There's no ice. Something about the no ice really. I've never been in one, so I can't say I like one over another. I dipped my hand in this thing. It was 39 degrees, 40 degrees. I dipped my hand in this thing. I felt like the bones in my hands were going to shatter. Just sticking my hand in for a second. I looked at him like, you sit in this? He goes, yeah, like 3-4 minutes. Dip my head in there. He goes, I get my head in so that I don't get headaches. Sometimes like all the blood rushing. If your head's just outside, it feels a little weirder. I'm like, bro, if I got in there, my heart would stop beating. I know it would. I'd die in there.
Yeah, those are like all the rage now. Joe Rogan made those popular, and now everybody's got a nice plunge tub where they just get in for 3 minutes to start your day, and you just apparently it's supposed to make you live till you're 300.
The benefits apparently are insane. Your blood is just circulating through your body, and when you exit it, you feel like $1 billion. Just $1 billion.
I went through a phase, this was a couple years ago now, where I read that when you're taking a shower in the morning, you just do the normal shower, and then the last minute, crank it all the way to cold and just stand there for a minute and kind of move around, let it touch every part of your body. It's hell. Sounds like the opposite of hell, but it is frozen hell. And when you step out, and I'm sure the cold plunge is this times 1 billion, all the blood starts to warm you up and you feel incredible. But that minute is legitimately frozen hell.
Yeah.
Hell.
Dude, my brother Kyle like exclusively takes cold showers now because of that. He read it's like a big health benefit.
Now that's
I think it helps with anxiety. It helps with sleep. It helps with like your nervous system is way is like on alert for those 3 minutes. It's like we have to fight this. Like everything get close to the heart, and then when you get out, it was like your body just experienced the hardest thing it's going to experience all day. So like when you're starting your day, you're like, you're done for the rest of the day now. Your body can't experience anything more traumatic than that. So yeah, there's a lot of science behind it. I would love to do it. I mean, they say like they're like their kid can get in it, no problem. I'm like, are you kidding me? I swear I would die in there, but I guess I just have to try it. I don't know. I think you should try like 30 seconds. Yeah. Even
with the shower stuff that I used to do, the first time was horrific, and then the next couple times your body just knows what it is, and you start to get, it never gets easy, but you start to be like, all right, that minute went by way fast. The first time you do it, the minute feels like 3 hours, but then you start to acclimate with it every time you do it. But yeah, no, I mean, you can buy one of those tubs. They'll like bring it to your house for a couple of $grand, and you just do it every morning.
I know. I was thinking about it, but I don't think I'd ever use it, man. I think I'd stare at it and be like, I'm not getting in there today. You know, there's no way I'm getting in there right now. You'd have to toss me in there and lock me in. I'm going to buy that thing for $3,500 and just stare at it. I'm going to hear it bubbling, and I'm going to be like, I'm just going to get a hot tub right next to it and just be like, I'd rather get in that. Way better, dude.
What a lot of people do, and there's science behind this. Again, this is all Joe Rogan. So if you want to learn about this, just watch any of his podcasts. But he does. People do cold plunge, sauna, like you go back and forth to start the day. You do 3 minutes in one, you do 5 minutes in the other, you jump back and forth. It's supposed to, again, you're supposed to be able to live until, forever. But I don't know. You just got to spend a bunch of money on it, and then you're probably not going to use it.
Did you guys see the Bryson interview where he just could not possibly answer a question about 9/11 families, and it was. I
haven't seen it yet. I heard he was blinking like a maniac. His processor was just on overload. He needs that new that new R1 processor and that Apple Vision Pro thing that they just released.
It's so bad that I can't. I couldn't make it through it, and I knew that it was like really like hilariously bad on a topic that it's no laughing matter. A lot of the stuff that they're covering, but it was. The guy should never do an interview ever again after watching it. Never, ever.
Right. If you're not
sending him up
fully prepared, if you're not prepared to cop to, it's kind of all, this is all for money. If you're not ready for the 9/11 question, do not get in front of a microphone and a camera, because that question is coming. And a guy, Bryson, who we've got a long history with, you could ask him, what'd you have for breakfast? And you kind of don't know where the question is going to go, what his answer is going to be for something that heavy and that important. He's not the guy to answer that question. So I have not seen it, but I cannot imagine how poorly it went.
And just like we talked about with Brandel before, like, you got to keep asking that question, because as much as we talk about how good it is for the game of golf and how all this atrocities happen, but we just have to get over it, the 9/11 thing is very real. I mean, like we say in New York and around the country, we never forget. They quite literally funded the terrorists, and they're the reason why they had the money to be able to do what they did and perform 9/11. Like, that was Saudi-backed money, Saudi initiative for that to happen. So it's like, when you say never forget, and that's in the 9/11 response, the 9/11 family's response to Jay Monahan being like, we quite literally never forget who did this, and you're now working with them. So it is, man, it's bad. It's really, really bad. But like, you have to think at some point the world has to like become better, right? Like, I don't know, like maybe these fucking guys, I don't know. It's like, you have to, I don't know what the answer to that question would be if I was on that side. If I'm sitting in
then you can't go up on CNN.
But like,
you know what I'm
how
saying?
is any of these people going to answer? How is anyone for the PGA Tour going to answer that question forever? This is the future of the PGA Tour. We just said,
is what we're saying.
2 hours.
Yeah.
An hour and 8 minutes we've been on the podcast. We've been saying that they own the PGA Tour forever now. But like, they're going to have to somehow have that answer, right? Like, is it like people become better? Like, this is our change in the world now. I don't know. Like, what's their answer? What is the answer? I don't even know how you're supposed to respond to that.
That's the hard part about it.
Yeah.
That's the part where you're like, if you take this money, right, you got to answer some fucking hard questions. And if you don't have an answer, which you
it's an
probably
unanswerable question.
That's right.
For them.
And you just got to be like, we wanted the money.
Right. That's, I mean, we said this a year ago. That is the trade-off. When you take the money, guess what? You might have to go viral for not having a fucking answer to taking blood money from the people that financed and assisted in the execution of 9/11. You're going to have to answer those questions to take your $125 million if you're Bryson DeChambeau. Like, that's just is what it is. And that fucking sucks. And that's why when we come back to this, a bit like, it could be good. And there's a lot of money going into the game. And like, yeah, but we also at the same time, like we talked about, can also realize that like, it fucking sucks that there's also some really horrific negatives involved, and those families and how hurt they feel and betrayed they feel, like, just so people could get money and we can get more money into the game of golf. It seems pretty fucking minuscule at that point. So that part of it fucking sucks. There's just no doubt about it. That part absolutely sucks.
It makes it way more real. It makes it way more real. Specifically for us, like Americans. Like, it makes it way more real. It does. Even like just and before, like you're talking about, like it's all about the atrocities and all that stuff. And you say that, and sometimes like it's very general. It's like the atrocities, and like you're almost like thinking of like things happening in Saudi Arabia, and you're just like, that doesn't even affect me as a person from day to day. And then you think about like, no, they definitely affected us day to day, right? They took down like there was a terrorist attack on our soil that they quite literally had their hand in, and that's like hard to accept. For sure. There's no denying that. And it's like, you don't know what the future of that question is going to be asked forever. And you just don't know how that's ever going to be okay. It's just, it shouldn't be okay.
And then like, again, to bring up Randall, what he would say to that is, obviously it hurts because that happened on our soil, to us Americans. The people that it's happened to, like the atrocities that are happening in Saudi Arabia, those are people who were just born in a different place. They're the same people. So I get that it's easier to connect with the 9/11 stuff, but what they want to say is be like, those people it's the same shit. It's just, it didn't happen here. So I don't have to think about it as much. That's their point.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a valid point.
It's the byproduct of the whole situation. It's why we've been talking about it for a year and a half. It's why golf is in such a bizarre, shocking, and now globally highlighted position where it's the headliner on a lot of news shows right now. And yeah, it's a complicated issue. The tour made just a stunning move yesterday. Not even really the tour. It's just mostly Jay Monahan and Jimmy Dunn, who were pretty much in charge of the tour, and then combining with the PIF and Yasser, and here we are. So it'll be fascinating to see how things play out. We got a major championship next week. Gentlemen, we want it all. We want to play it by ear and have definite plans. We want to share life stories and remain mysterious. We want to be hip and wear the same sweatshirt every day. Sadly, we can't have it all unless we're at Sport Clips Haircuts. We love Sport Clips Haircuts. They've been supporters of us for a while. You just got to get haircuts, especially in the summertime. It gets humid out there. It gets hot. It gets icky. You don't want your hair all frizzy and all over the place. It could be a disaster. We got smoky skies. Who knows what that does to hair? Where we can tune into the game and tune out work pings, we're talking about our very good friends at Sport Clips. They've got the MVP experience complete with massaging shampoos, hot steam towels. Frank Borelli's got a wedding coming up. I imagine you're going to want your hair to look pretty good for those wedding photos, Frankie.
Yeah, you just got to tighten it up. You got to tighten it up. You got to trust them. You got to trust who you're going to, because that could be a very, very dicey situation if you go to someone that's not a professional, that doesn't know how to cut men's hair, because there's a lot of sketchy places out there that just don't know what they're doing, and you got to go with the fastball. You have a wedding coming up. You got a big event coming up. You got to get the fastball, 99 miles an hour on the black. You know what you're getting. You know you're going to have a quality haircut, and that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not taking any risks.
In other words, ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, because we're talking about men's haircut here. In other words, we get to have it all at Sport Clips. Walk in or check in online. Sport Clips, it's a game changer. Do not be afraid to get that MVP experience. Massaging shampoos, hot steam towels. Sport Clips, a game changer. Couple things that I wanted to highlight. I got to give a shout out to Newark that has a sign for where to pick up golf clubs specifically when you land. How nice is that? Because there's just nothing. These airports around the country, the oversized bag and then the carousel, and you never know if you're standing there waiting for something that's not coming and you have to go somewhere else. And then the signage even to where the oversized baggage is, I would say maybe 10% of the time there's like an observable sign to where that is. And the obvious answer would be like, oh, just ask somebody. But they always do minimal staff in the baggage area. So it's usually like a 10-person hour-long line just to ask somebody a question. So there needs to be, I was trying to think about it when I saw that sign. It didn't even say oversized baggage. It just said golf clubs come here. And I was like, that's a permanent sign. I was like, that's fucking great that they have that. And I hope that more airports follow suit of what Newark's doing, because that's a great sign.
It really needs to be made more clear whether
when some places have the Sorry, Trent, we've been stepping on each other. I think you're on like a half a second delay in that hotel room, and then me and Riggs are on like a pure like every time he stops, whatever. That just threw me off so bad. I hate when some airports it'll come out on the regular thing.
Yep,
Phoenix.
Oh, because then you're standing at oversized baggage and you're like, it has to be here. And then you feel like a fucking idiot when everyone else has left the airport and you're like, I'm definitely doing the right thing. I beat everyone here. I know airports. I know where fucking golf clubs come. And then it's just like, oh no, it's just on the regular, you're on carousel number 6. Fuck.
I landed in Denver yesterday, and there's the regular carousel, and then they have a system that I haven't seen anywhere else where it's the thing that circulates, but it's for skis, right? But golf clubs they fit into that little area too. So that one I like because but I completely agree. Maybe 5% of the time do I know exactly where my clubs are going to go. Either I would rather them make it like almost a law, like it's always going to come out on the oversized or it's always going to come out in the carousel. I can't keep guessing.
Dude, how about St. Louis? Lambert International Airport, probably the worst airport in America. They have the worst situation imaginable for golf clubs. They have the carousels, which are awful. And then they have 2 different oversized baggage, like conveyor belts that have a door that don't allow them to come out. And then you have to, in order for you to open that door. So what happens is the oversized baggage will go up the conveyor belt to the other side of the door. You can see it on your air tags. If you air tag your golf clubs, you can see that they're right on the other side of the door. And then when they get to the other side of that door, a red light goes off, alerting that like there's oversized baggage. But you can't open that door without a an employee from the airline. So then you have to go over to the baggage window fucking little room thing. That's a nightmare, like I already said. And you have to wait in line and then flag to that person. Then there's usually only one employee in there that you need oversized baggage. So then if they have a line of humans that are like looking for their lost luggage that are rattled, they have to either put a pause in that operation and go over and open the thing across the goddamn room, or they have to wait till they help everyone and then go over, put in the access code, and open the door so that you can get your oversized luggage. It's a fucking disaster.
What do you guys think about this idea that I thought of? I flew late into LaGuardia a couple weeks ago. I got in at midnight maybe, and I had checked 2 bags. Would you guys pay extra to land, walk right out of that airport, get in an Uber, go home, and have a guaranteed next day delivery for your check bags? Those check bags, I don't need them. I don't need anything in there. It's my golf clubs, and it's a bunch of dirty clothes that I've been traveling with for the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
If I could pay a little bit extra, instead of having to sit around at midnight at LaGuardia, I got an hour drive. I got an hour Uber back to my apartment. So I'm already getting in at 1 a.m. And then if I got to wait for these check bags, I'm probably getting there at 2. But if I can just walk straight out into an Uber and I've already paid, I know that they're going to take those 2 check bags, put them in the back of a van, and they're going to drive them to my apartment, guaranteed delivery within, before 2 p.m. the next day. I'm paying that every single time. And I don't understand why that's not an option.
Yeah. I've actually thought the best case scenario is I hope that I get a notification in those moments that my bags are lost, that they didn't make it on the
100%.
plane, because then the next day whenever they land in my city, they just deliver them for free. So that's like the one time you're rooting for them to have just not made the plane.
Yeah. Right, because I was just sitting there, and it was one of those times where I don't know when it's coming out. I was there for an hour, just like, I don't need I want to go to sleep. I don't need the golf. I'm not golfing in the next 8 hours, so I don't need these bags. Just bring them to me tomorrow.
I mean, people have a lot of stuff in their golf bag that, like, like toiletries and all that stuff that you can't put on the plane, right? Like
that you're going to need within the next 8 hours.
I think I think you probably were like, I just got to get to bed right now. But like,
that's all
I
I'm
think
thinking.
like getting your bag is definitely like a plus. Like just like having your bag on you is like one of the biggest parts of traveling. Just getting in the Uber.
Why?
It's like because it's like the stuff that you're bringing around with you. Like losing your bag is the worst part of traveling. That's like what.
But
we
I'm
all complain
saying
about.
this is a system we put in
returned
place where
home.
they're not losing them. We're all agreeing that you're going to take this luggage and drop it off in my place within the next.
It's just
12
way
hours.
more of a chance of getting it, like just a shit show. Like they can't get it to you today, tomorrow. I mean, if it's seamless, sure, it's obviously better. If someone's grabbing your stuff and bringing it to you, that's obviously a premier service.
It was a very
I wouldn't
specific
trust
situation where but you're trusting them to fly them across the country, so why not trust them to take it to my apartment?
Yeah, I just would be so pissed off if like they lost it after I know that they're there because I couldn't just bring them into my car. It'd be like now I don't have my golf clubs for 3 days because something happened with this driver when it was right there. I was there. I just had to wait 10 minutes.
No, I waited 45 minutes though.
Well, yeah, that's a specific situation. That's something like they should let you know. That's something that they need to do is like let you know where your bags are at in the system of like these guys getting them off and putting them on. We need more beeping and more scanning happening from the guys that are working on the tarmac. They beep it as they're putting it on the conveyor belt, but they need to beep it like the second that they're unloading it. So like it's happening. Something's happening. It's not still sitting on the plane. You're getting moving. Because I agree, there's nothing worse than waiting in no man's land, waiting for your bags. But you always think it's gonna be the next one.
$100, drop them off at my doorstep, and I get an extra hour of sleep.
Credit to Golf Channel yesterday went 8 straight hours commercial free during their coverage of this entire thing.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. I was wondering like how are they allowed to do that? I can't imagine.
Incredible they can do that, but then they always like cut away when a guy's like hitting the most important golf shot of the tournament. But they can like somehow finagle 8 hours of just commercial free coverage because they can't fathom someone going on their channel and not seeing their coverage at the time that the biggest breaking news is happening. But golf definitely takes the back burner to that.
It made me like, that made me very curious because it's like, what in this moment, wouldn't they want, like their ratings are going to be through the roof. Wouldn't they want to cash in on those ad dollars.
Those are probably predetermined, regardless of rating.
Yeah.
Pre-purchase time slots.
Yeah. I guess they're not selling them in real time, obviously, but still, you'd think they want to go to the advertiser and be like, guess what? That ad you paid for last month got X amount of ratings.
I wish it worked like that. We'd be calling our guys being like, we got a Rory video coming out tomorrow. Pony up, baby. You know what I mean? Speaking of videos for us, we've got Breaking 90 out last night, and we won't spoil anything if you haven't watched it yet. It's the greatest Breaking 90 yet. I'll just say that. We'll talk about it.
I haven't seen it yet.
We'll talk about it next week, just because it's only been a day. So you guys can, if you haven't watched it yet, we'll talk about it next Tuesday for sure. And what you can watch tonight is it tomorrow or tonight, Alex Bush, the episode 2 of the Fathers series? Will it be Thursday?
That's next week.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's next week. Okay, yep. So episode 1 of For the Fathers, I think is what we were calling it. We played an alternate shot match. My dad, the Borellis versus the Ryans. It went fantastically. I think there may have been an audio issue within the video. I got a bunch of tweets about that, but that's something that Alex and Brendan will have to put that fire out. But we have the episode 2 coming out next week, which is us playing a scramble. A lot of people were saying you guys missed the boat not playing a scramble with the dads. We have 2 episodes of a scramble coming out next week. We already did it. We did it 3 weeks ago. So we were way ahead of you on that. It's an amazing video, getting all the guys. We did a how low can we go type of video. It was fantastic. The dads obviously showed out. Episode 1 is so fucking funny. I mean, there's just so many things in there that are laugh out loud funny. From Trent's dad, my dad just getting bubbly inside the in the pool and just saying ridiculous things the whole entire day, juggling golf balls, and your dad apologizing to you all day for not hitting a good shot. And it was just it's really a heartwarming, easy watch. So go check that out for sure. But Breaking 90, that should be a big one, I'm assuming.
We got big videos coming out.
Yeah, we got big videos coming out for sure.
Golf Galaxy. I cannot think of a better time, especially when I was living more the cube life, the sales guy life, and then during a lunch break or even a Saturday afternoon, if you get a little bit of time off, you're not playing golf, whatever, you get a few hours to yourself, just go by Golf Galaxy. Just go cruise around, go browse around Golf Galaxy. It's literally a dream come true for golfers. They got fitting, grips and shafts, lessons, everything you can want. Plus, they got TrackMan, Biotech, TM for getting your game dialed in. You can rent the simulator for working on your swing, just playing some of the top courses on the tour. They've got those putting greens there all the time. It's nice. Just go around and grab a putter, grab a spider, grab a TP, and just putt around out there and just browse around. Just look at what's going on in the golf world. Golf Galaxy is heaven for people like us, I think.
Yeah, firm, tight greens there. You can really roll the rock there. Such firm, tight greens. Obviously, the TrackMan, the simulators, all that stuff. We got to experience it with our dads. They went in. They got fit. Gary Ryan's been crushing that new Stealth 2 driver with his shaft that he wanted and his new jumbo putter grip that he got put on there at the Golf Galaxy in Myrtle Beach. So yeah, it's an amazing place. It really is. Golf Galaxy is where I started going when I first learned how to play golf. There was no better feeling than entering a Golf Galaxy and just looking on the walls and grabbing all the new clubs. And it's where you fall in love with the game of golf. You fall in love with the equipment. You fall in love with all the little accessories of golf. That's one of the best parts.
It's so true. Just walking in there, man. You see that sign, you walk in, you just get excited. You look at head covers, you look at some new polos, you're looking at the new driver, or the new wedge, or they're putting around on those firm, fast greens. It's just the best. So go check out Golf Galaxy. They've also got free curbside pickup, gets you your gear in 1 hour or less, and out on the course even faster. Head over to your closest Golf Galaxy or go online, shop for the best clubs, hats, shirts, and shoes from all of golf's top brands at Golf Galaxy.
Ooh, I want to give a shout before we finish here. I want to give a shout out to the Foo Fighters. They released an album, but here we are, the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters, I thought, they lost their drummer, Taylor Hawkins, passed away, and I was thinking to myself, we saw the last of the Foo Fighters, and they're my favorite band. Me and Robbie Fox have a huge relationship around the Foo Fighters. We'll send every single message we possibly can whenever they release anything or if they're live somewhere, whatever. And it just felt like it was the end. Dave's just been through too much. Kurt Cobain passed away when he was in Nirvana. And then all of a sudden his best friend Taylor Hawkins passes away when he's in the Foo Fighters. It's just like this guy, his mom passed away at the same time, basically, as Taylor Hawkins. And he was as close to his mom as anyone can be close to their mom. It was incredible, their relationship. So you're like, this is it. This guy's going to give up. You're never going to see him again. And then he fucking releases this new album. But here we are. And it is... With all that said, with all that drama in his life and all that sadness, he turned it into just the greatest album that they've come out with in fucking years. I would say 15, 20 years for me.
I didn't know this.
Dude, it means something. You can hear it in his voice and the lyrics from beginning to end if you listen to it as just a full album. Every song that goes into the next. You can hear him like you can almost picture him writing down just like all of his thoughts about like missing Taylor and like you're never going to see him. There's like lines in there of being like, they say like you live while you're like you can never live too long and stuff like that. Like they always say only the good die young. Like there's all these moments in there where he's like, why is this always happening to me? Then the last song, Rest, is literally him telling his mom, you don't have to fight this battle anymore. You can rest now. And the way that he says it, it's like, it almost sounds like he's speaking, like whispering in her ear. It's so, I cried listening to the album. I legitimately cried because this guy's going through it, man. He's just had loss, like immeasurable loss. So I had to give a shout out to that. It's one of my favorite albums I've been listening to in a long, long time. And I think everyone should listen to it. It's fucking fantastic. Nothing better than a good rock and roll album. We just get away from that sometimes in this day and age. It's rock and roll, man. Fucking guitars, and drums, and screaming, and like fucking anthems. I love it.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, big week in golf. We did 3 podcasts this week, which is not usual. So if something else crazy breaks, we'll just do another fucking emergency podcast if we have to. But
Pickleball. We sold out.
Yeah, it sold out in like 4 seconds.
25 seconds. Our first pickleball event, Long Island, Pickle and Par, August 5th. We are going to be doing more events. We're going to package this whole thing up and hopefully roll a full on fucking tour of this thing. So keep your eyes peeled. It might take a little time for us to like get, now that we know that it's going to work, it was like a proof of concept type of thing. We're going to really like dig deep, make sure we can do it. Maybe it's 2024, roll out a bunch of different cities, bunch of different venues. I'm going to be working hard on it. It's going to be a great first event. We got my buddy Big Rob is like working, like he's going to be like running like the actual tournament side of it. Like Team A plays Team C, because he's like a fucking, he's a pickleballer. The whole tournament rests on Big Rob. It's crazy. We show up on August 5th, and if he doesn't have like the Excel sheet perfect, it's over. The whole thing's done. But I think he's got it nailed. I'm pretty sure he nailed the process. So we'll see. It's all on him. So I'm not taking any heat if it doesn't go well, but it will go well. It's going to be exciting. Thank you to everyone that joined. And yeah, that's all I got.
The first year we showed up to one of the Barstool Classics at Granite Links, and the spreadsheet was wrong on the handicaps. Somebody had accidentally deleted one cell, which meant every handicap was not matched up with the right person.
Oh boy.
And so they print all the scorecards. It was like a 1 p.m. shotgun too, because there was a bunch of play in the morning. So it's like a shit show later in the day because people they got there early, they're boozing, they're having lunch. And dude, everyone prints their scorecards, puts them on their cart. And so within like the first 10 minutes of the event, I get a couple people come up to me. They're like, hey, my scorecard handicap I think's wrong, but I don't want to overstep. Checking them by like a half hour into it. We're only like 30 minutes from start time. I mean, 60 people came up to us and were like, excuse me, Riggs. Like, I'm so happy to be here with my handicaps. Like, these aren't even close. And we had to redo the whole fucking thing. It sucked so much. But people were very cool about it.
I hope that doesn't happen here. I hope Rob is listening and he just knows.
Something will probably go wrong, but we'll just fix it.
It always does.
It's going to be fine.
People were cool. People are generally cool.
It's our first one. I've never even like attended anything like this. He's attended a bunch of tournaments, so he knows the flow. So yeah,
is it going to be sort of like Chicklets Cup like in terms of like different, like the vibe around there?
Yeah, it's going to be different.
There's different courts and shit.
Yeah, I guess. No, not. Yeah, I guess it's like different skill levels. There's no handicap system really in pickleball. It's just like they have this thing called the Duper rating, like DUPR, and basically it's like 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, 4.5, 5.0. And if you're on this website or this app and you play against other people who are rated on this Duper system, they'll rank where you fall. You're a 4.5 player, you're a 4.0 player. But unless basically it's like that's like their gin handicap system, but most people don't do that. You're not playing in like legitimate events. So you have to kind of tell yourself like I'm a 3.5 player. And like you have to, it's a kind of like honor system. Yeah. Like you don't want a 5.0 guy going into a 3.5. They're just going to murder them because it's me versus you. It's not golf. It's like I can literally just hit this harder than you at you and you're just going to lose. So that's going to be kind of like a learning curve. We just need more courts to get way more divisions in. So now we just got like a general 4.0 plus division, just better players over here, less advanced players over here. We got mixed doubles too. We got a lot of females in this, which is great. We just have so much demand for female pickleball that we're actually going to do just a full female, just like doubles event at one point. Like that's going to be a full division as opposed to mixed.
Dude, incredible. Dude, congrats, by the way. I mean, I know all the work that goes into this. This thing's selling out in 25 seconds. That's insane. That's
Pickleball's huge.
That's always a very scary moment. That's a very scary moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're excited. Live event, Lisa and Justin. We're just doing it all again. It's just a new venture.
I love it. The female thing's great. We had our first female team in Wisconsin, all female team that advanced to the championship. We've had women advance before, but always playing with a guy. And now we had an all female team. So yeah, that's great.
They striped the ball. They went up to the red tees, and we were sitting on the 10th tee. We were like heckling people, playing music, doing the whole thing. And they just went up there and they just striped 2 down the middle of the fairway. And it was just like, those girls are good for sure.
Alyssa Breeze and Katie Coleman.
Yeah, Alyssa Breeze and Katie Coleman. There was a guy in that tournament called Andrew Breeze. His name was Drew Breeze. I don't think he was related to Andrew Alyssa. All right, I got fucking some guy is like, I can drive further than you. And then I just got into like a 35-minute drive off with this guy, long drive competition, and he kept beating me, and it was infuriating because he just kept hitting 245-yard baby cuts down the middle, and I just kept missing the fairway. So like he just kept winning, and I was like, I'm gonna kill somebody. And the way he went about it was insane. He's like, his voice, he's a villain to me for a long time. He was using my driver as a lefty. What was his name? It was something the third too, like just like me. What?
Trey? I think so. Trayson?
That was Trayson. Yeah, it's Trayson. He definitely looked like a Trayson. He was just like, I can hit the ball further than you. That's simple as that. And I would be like, no, you can't. He'd be like, yes, I can. I'll bet you $20. And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. So I go up there and I fucking try and smash one and I duck hook one. He goes, I told you. I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. I hate you. But he dominated me. Everyone. Dude, we had a guy hit one 335 yards on a carry, and he beat him because the guy just kept out driving the fairway. And we're like, just hit one in the fairway. Somebody hit one in the fairway. He's like, I'm just going to do this all day. He's like, he kind of sounded like Nate or something. He's like, I'm just going to win all day long. Never going to miss a fairway. Crazy. It was fun. Drove me crazy.
All right. We'll be back next week. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about. Canadian Open this weekend. Enjoy it. We'll be back on Tuesday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.